Good day. This is Michael Ramos Jr., student of Master of Engineering major in Computer Engineering. For this video, I will apply what I have learned from Dr. Edwin R. Arboledo's video about AutoCAD application number 8, which is draw command. So let's start. So for draw commands part 2, we have here some commands, specifically the XL or the construction line. So how can we apply this command or method in our AutoCAD? So let's open our AutoCAD. So in constructing or drawing our construction line, so let's input XL in our command. Okay, so in our command line, let's type XL. XL is the shortcut command for X line, or what we call construction line. So when it comes to construction line, we can simply pick or click a specific point in our drawing table, and once we press or click it, automatically we have here a specific line. So this line has no beginning and no end, so it is a never ending line. So as you can see, we can rotate from 0 degrees up to 360, or we can revolve or rotate the line. So as you can see, we can press this at this point, we can press it, so we have here a midpoint with different lines. So these lines are never ending. So if we will zoom it out, so there is no beginning and no end for this line. So this is an example of what we call construction line. So a while ago, as you can see, so let's press enter or escape. If we type XL for cross line, so we have here some specification of points. So some points could be horizontal, vertical, angular, bisect, and offset. So in order to see the difference between horizontal, vertical, angular, bisect, and offset, we will apply it here. So for example, I want to create a construction line using XL. So for example, I put it in this the midpoint. So I can generate different lines. So for example, I will activate ortho mode. So ortho mode or F8. So I can only press horizontal and vertical lines. So let's turn off our ortho to create lines that are not horizontal or vertical. So we can create slanting lines. So let's try to click escape or enter. So let's erase them all. Erase all and click enter. Now let's try other features of our cross line or X line construction line. So type XL. So let's try HOR or H for horizontal. So automatically in construction line, we could only create horizontal lines. Even though our ortho mode is turned off, if it is turned on, automatically horizontal lines are the ones that we can create, and there will be no vertical lines. So if our ortho is turned off, automatically it is as is that we can create horizontal lines. Now let's try the other feature, XL. Then let's try V or vertical. So vertical lines as is or the same. If our ortho is turned on and turned off, we can create vertical lines. Okay, so that is another feature of what we call construction line. Let's hit enter. Let's try XL, then type A or for angle. So when it comes to angle, we could create a specific never-ending line based on the angular reference of our line. So for example, if we want a slanting line, exact slanting line, so for example, 45 degrees, so we could create a never-ending line with 45 degrees. So for example, let's turn off our OSNAP, I think. So let's click this intersection, center, midpoint, and endpoint. So let's turn M off. So we could create slanting lines. So these slanting lines are in 45 degrees. Okay, so hit escape or enter. Next, XL. Then let's click bisect, or let's type B for bisect. So when it comes to bisect, specify angle or vertex point. So I think we should activate our OSNAP. So to activate it, we could select this object snap, and then, okay, select, for example, endpoint, midpoint, or we could simply click intersection and then hit OK. Okay, so automatically in this section, we can see that these are some of the activated OSNAP features: endpoint, midpoint, and intersection. So for the previous one, we have here X line, or the construction line. Then we have here the bisect. So if we will create a cross constructional line, or the XL, and we have here bisect, for example, at this midpoint, so we have here the intersection. So let's click the intersection, and once we drag it, so we could select a specific line starting from that midpoint. Okay, so that is the feature of the bisect. So let's try again. So type XL, B for bisect, select an angle of specify vertex point. So we have here this intersection of horizontal and vertical line. Then let's drag. Okay, so that is the feature of what we call bisect. Okay, so let's try to erase them all. Erase all. Now let's try the other feature of XL, the last feature, which is what we call offset. Okay, so I think let's draw for example, horizontal line here. Okay, then hit escape. Then let's try XL, then offset O. So automatically specify offset distance. So let's indicate 5. Then select align object. So we have here this specific line. So once we click it up, as you can see, if we zoom in, there is an offset line with distance of 5. So if we will select it here again and then click on the in the upper part, so we have here offset of the horizontal line. So just like from the previous video, the use of offset, so we could duplicate lines, duplicate objects with a specific distance of our offset. Okay, so this is an example of our construction line. So let's hit erase and all. Erase all. Okay, so those are the features of what we call construction line. Okay, so next draw command after construction line is we have here array. So array is just like a construction line, but the array function has a specific point but with never ending line. Okay, so it says that there is a starting point and there is no ending line. So to try it, let's type array, then specify first point. So for example, I want to point here. Then I could select a specific angle, for example, here, here, here. So it's just like the rays of the sun. So we have here the sun on the midpoint. So unlike the construction line a while ago, it is a never-ending line with no starting and no end. For ray, there is a beginning point, which is the midpoint, and there is no end for the line. So that is the example of our ray. So ray, specify starting point. Okay. So that's how we can create a ray. So let's erase all. Next, another draw command which we have here is a polyline. So for polyline, we could type P-line or PL. So for our polyline, let's type PL. Okay, shortcut for P-line or polyline. So specify starting point. So for polyline, for example, we have here. Okay, I think there is an activated one. With 0, 0. Okay, so I think there is an activated a while ago. So for polyline, P-line, so we have here 0 width. Okay, so we could create continuing line. So polyline or P-line is just like creating a line. Okay, but in this one, if we ended at this point, so there is a selection in which we could continue the line. So this is an example of what we call P-line. Okay, so for example, PL, okay, for P line, starting point. So for example, this one, the end point. So let's click it. Then let's type A for arc. So for arc, we could create a arc starting from that midpoint. We could create here, we could create here, and we could create. Okay, so that's how we could create a arc. Okay, so let's specify the first point, and then we could drag our mouse and click for a respective point of our arc. So another one, so P line, PL. So specify first point, for example, this endpoint again. Then let's try to type half width or H. So for half width, we have here specify starting half width, for example, 5, and then specify end width, let's try to type 3. So in half width, we have here this line with a half width of 5 and 3. So we could create a line with this feature. So this is an example of half width. Okay. Okay. So if we zoom it out, it's just like a line. Okay. So let's try another one. PL. Specify starting point. For example, this one, the end of our arc. Then let's try to type L for length. So for the length, specify length of the line. Let's say 20. So 20. Okay. So for example, L, let's length of the line 100. So as you can see, we have here this length of line. L again, let's say 500. Okay, so as you can see, we created a line with the length of 500. So it is a straight line. So that is the feature of our L for length. So PL, and then starting point, and then let's type U for undo. Okay, PL, starting point, this one. Then let's try W for width. For our width, specify starting width. So let's say 5. And then specify ending width, let's say also 5. So width and half width are almost the same, but in this width, we have here this distinct lengths. So we have here the starting 5 and ending 5. Okay? So that is the features of our P line. So in order to draw a specific P line with a normal line, so let's type PL. Then starting point, for example, this one. And then let's try to type W, and let's try it to type 0, 0. So automatically our line will be the normal one. Okay, so that is the feature of what we call PL or P line. So let's erase and all. So that is P line or the polyline. Next one, we have here multiline or M line. So M line, ML, or multiline is just the same as what the polyline has, but we could duplicate, triplicate, or draw, okay, the same line with different numbers of lines. So for example, if we want to draw a polyline, okay, two polylines with the same, okay, so let's apply the multiline or ML. So let's type ML for multiline. So ML, not Mobile Legends. So for multiline, for example, we have here the starting point, and as you can see, we have here the same parallel line. Okay, so that is the feature of what we call multi-line. Okay, so we could create, for example, a racing track using multi-line. So if we would create a pathway, we could use ML or multi-line. Now let's see other features of ML or multiline. Starting off with the, okay, we have here the multiline edit. So for multiline edit, we should type ML edit. So let's type in our type command ML edit. So this function of ML edit with, okay, for example, revise or alter what we created from the previous multiline. So for example, erase and then all. Okay, so let's create an example multiline. So for this multiline, let's create this straight line. Another multiline. So let's create this, for example, an intersection. Okay. So let's apply this multiline edit. So ML edit. So for ML edit, so for example, we want a closed cross multiline. So we have here, for example, if we're creating an overpass. So let's try to select it. So first thing to do is select the first object, then select the second object. And we have here the cross. Okay. So this is an example of editing multiline. Okay. So there is a overpass between two roads, for example. So let's undo. So let's try to try other ML edits. So ML edit. So let's try to do open T. So for open T, let's select this first multiline, then select the second multiline. So we have here an open T. Okay, this is an example of an open T. Okay, so let's undo again. So let's try to type ML edit. Then let's try to type close T. So for close T, for example, we want to close those lines. So let's select this first line and then select the second multiline. So we have here a close T. So there are many functions in our ML edit that we could try. So that are just examples that we could use. ML edit. So there are many multilines editing tools. So we've used cross, close T, open T, and etc. So let's close it. Okay. So next, another feature of our multiline that we could use is we have here the multiline style. So if you want a multiline with 3 lines or multilines with different colors, we could use this multiline style or the ML style. Okay. So for example, let's erase all. So for multiline style, so let's type ML style and hit enter. So for our ML style, so if we want to create our multiline style, so let's press the new. So for the previous, we have here the standard multiline, which are 2 lines. Okay, so let's create new. So let's try to create a new style. For example, MLN3 for multiline style number 3, for example. So start with standard. So let's continue. Automatically, these are the features of our standard. So the standard multiline has a bilayer of 0.5 and also negative 0.5. Now let's alter it and create a new form of our multiline. So for example, I will click add. Okay, so for this add, I have here an offset. So let's try to indicate our offset line by 1. Okay, and let's change the color of it by color blue. So as you can see, from the previews of this MLN3, we have here the preview of our standard line here, the new one. Okay, so next, let's add another one. So let's type -1. Okay, so when we hit enter, automatically we have here this another line or multiline. Then let's set the color of red to see if there is a difference. So as you can see, we have here the new blue line and we have here a new red line. Then let's click OK. So automatically we have here MLN3 for our new multiline style. Okay, so in order to have this in our AutoCAD, so let's click or hit save. Then let's type MLN3 in our resource file and click save. So automatically MLN3 is saved in our Autodesk AutoCAD 2021 version. So let's click and hit OK. Now, to try those created line, so in order to use it, so let's type ML for multiline. And from multiline, we have here the specification of style, which is SD. So for this multiline, our style is standard. So let's try to alter it. So ST. So ST. So let's try enter multiline style name. So as we save that file, we type it MLN3. So automatically, if we click MLN3, our style is changed from MLN3. And once we created a multiline, automatically, we have here this. Okay? So, what if you didn't remember the file name you save? So for example, we have here ML for multiline. Then we type SD for style. So we have here a selection of question mark. So if we type question mark, so the list of multilines are here. So we have here name and description. So we have here MLN1, MLN3, and standard. So we have here the previous standard. I've created the MLN1 a while ago. And I have here the MLN3 which I created during this video. So let's type MLN3. And automatically, the multiline selected will be the MLN3. Okay? Now, if you want to use the standard multiline, so let's type ML, then click style, and type standard. So if you didn't know the spelling of the standard or the capitalization or lowercase, so we could type question mark, enter, and we have here the standard. So type standard. And once we created multiline, so we are back to 2 lines. Okay, so that's how we could create and alter our multiline applying mul or ML edit and also ML style. So let's erase them all. Okay, so those are some of the features of what we call multiline. So next one, we have here another feature in drawing commands, which is what we call polygon. So in polygon, we could create it by typing POL or pol. So when we type polygon, so enter number of sides. So for example, I want 8 for octagon. So once I created 8, so I have here specify center of polygon. So in order to draw a polygon 8, okay, octagon, okay, to draw a polygon with 8 sides, so I'll specify here a point. Then inscribe in circle or circumscribe about the circle. So in this point, we could create an octagon. Now the octagon should be inscribe a circle or a circle is inscribed inside of it. Okay, so basically in creating a polygon, the permanent, or I think what we call the default circle is inscribed, okay, or the polygon we created is inscribed in circle. So if we want to draw an octagon and it is inscribed in our circle, we have here this bracket I, or less than I greater than. So let's type it is inscribed with the point 50. So automatically I think where's the line? Okay, so I think escape. So pol 8, specify center, and then we have here 50. Then okay. So once we click I for inscribe, hit enter, then specify radius of the circle. So let's type 50. So automatically, this is our drawing of our octagon with 8 sides, or octagon is 8 sides that is inscribed in a circle. Now, what is the difference of inscribed in a circle while a circle is inscribed on it? So let's try to type pol for polygon, type 8. So what if specify point? So inscribe in circle. So let's type C for circumscribe about circle. So there is a circle inside. Okay, so type C, and then let's type the radius of the circle is 50. So as you can see, okay, the first circle drawn, which is inscribed in a circle, the octagon is, okay, is smaller than the recent one, which is circumscribed in a circle. So as you can see, if I type M, move object, enter, okay. So if we will visualize here, if we created a radius of 50, automatically the circle is in this part around. Okay? So it tells that when it comes to inscribe, the circle is outside of this region. On the other hand, when it comes to circumscribe, if we set the radius of the circle is 50, the circle is inside this octagon. So that is the difference of inscribe, okay, and also the circumscribe. So that's how we could create a polygon. So let's try another one. Number of sides, let's say 500. Specify center of polygon. So for example, at this point, circumscribe. So for example, I want inscribe in a circle. So we have here this 500 sided polygon. So let's write the specify radius of circle is 100. Okay, so based on this one, this is inscribed in 100, or I think yes, 100 radius. So automatically this is a 500 sided polygon. So in polygon, we have here other drawing commands such as the following. Okay, so if we want a specific side, so let's type POL for polygon and enter the number of sides. So there are another shortcut commands if we want to create a specific polygon. So we could use a rectangle, ellipse, spline, donut, arc, and we have here another feature which are region and explode. So let's try to type erase and then all. Okay. So for this one, let's try to create the first one, which is the rectangle. So in creating a rectangle, we could type REC or shortcut command for rectangle. So for rectangle, we could type here. Okay, so for example, this rectangle is with curly. So I think we should reset it. Okay, so that's how we could create a rectangle. So type rec and then click from a certain point and we could drag it here. Okay. Another way in creating rectangle is we could type rec, then type D for dimension, or we could specify our first point here, then type D for dimension. So specify length, for example, 50. Specify width of the rectangle, for example, 30. So we have here 50 by 30. So it's small. Let's type another one, rec. Specify first point. Okay. So D for dimension. So let's try 200 for the length and 100 for the width. Okay, so this is an example of rectangle using the dimension. Now, if we would type rec and there are other, okay, options. So for example, the chamfer, elevation, fillet thickness, and width. So let's try this chamfer, fillet thickness, and width. So for chamfer, we have here letter C. So for chamfer, specify first chamfer distance for rectangle. Okay. So here, let's try the distance would be 20. Okay. And the second chamfer distance is also 20. So once we created 20 as the first and 20 as the last, so we could select the specified first corner, for example, here. So let's click the endpoint of this rectangle. And once we drag it, we have here a rectangle, which is like we use in frames. So as you can see, there is a the edge. So if it is a pointing for rectangle, now it is break or broken. So we have here a slanting edge for our rectangle. So that is the feature of chamfer. So let's try another one, rec. Then C for chamfer. So let's type 50 and 50. So let's try to apply it in the second rectangle. So as you can see, so this is like a frame or picture frame. So automatically, if chamfer is activated, it could type rec. Automatically, all rectangles are in chamfer form. Okay. So to undo that, so let's try to type rec, C for chamfer. Set the first point by 0 and second point by 0. And once you drag it, you could create the normal rectangle. Okay? So next one, let's delete or erase some of the jumper ones. So let's select this and hit enter. Okay? So for the second one, we have here rect. Then another feature is we have here fillet. So fillet is just like we smoothen the edge of our rectangle. So fillet radius, for example, specify fillet radius of rectangle. So we could type, for example, 20. So if our fillet value is 20, so if we pertain to this point of rectangle and drag it, so as you can see, we have here a smoothen, okay, edge of a rectangle. Okay, so it's just like some of the tables, for example, in Jollibee. Okay, so if we type rec, so if we will try to type rec, so automatically the rec is in fillet. Okay, a while ago, jumper is activated. So we set the jumper from 20 to 20. Now we set it back to 0 to 0. Now in fillet, we set the angle or the point by 20. So rec F for fillet, try 50. And as you can see, if we try to create a rectangle using this midpoint, so there is a fillet here of 50. Okay? As the point or the radius is being greater, okay, if we increase the number of radius, automatically it will be round. Okay? So let's try rec, fillet, and then type 0. So automatically our rectangle would be back to normal. Now, let's try another example of rec. So we have here the width. So if we try to type W, specify line of width for rectangles, for example, 50. Okay, so automatically we have here the width of our rectangle of 50. So the line is thickened by 50 points. So it's just like a frame again. So rec, let's return the value of width to 0. So automatically, if we will draw a rec, so normal rectangle. Okay, so those are the features of rectangle. Okay, now let's pan it to the left. Okay, so let's try another one, which is the ellipse. So to try ellipse, let's try type EL. So for EL, so specify axis endpoint of an ellipse or arc. So for example, we have here this one, and we have here the starting point, and then select the other endpoint of our axis. So we have here the endpoint, and once we drag it, we could control the obliqueness of our circle in order to become an ellipse. Okay, so EL, ellipse, EL, ellipse. Okay, so it's just like an orbit or ring of a planet. So next one, we have here spline or SPL. So for spline, let's type SPL. So spline, specify first point. We have here this one. Then second one, we have here. So in spline, we are like to create an arc, but we could control, okay, the curveness of it. Then second one, so we are just like creating a P line, okay, polyline, but in the application of arc. So P line are straight. So in SP line, so these are curve. Okay, so that is the function of spline. Okay, so polyline, straight lines, spline, these are curves. So next one, what if we want to draw a circle with thickness? So in rectangle, we apply the width. So in order to do in circles with a width, we have here the donut. So donut is DO. So for donut, specify inside diameter. For example, I want 10. So specify outside diameter of donut. So if we have here 10, let's say 30. So if automatically our cursor has a donut, and once we click it, automatically we could create a bunch of donuts. If we zoom in, so automatically they are just like donut. Okay, so let's try escape donut. Okay, let's try inside diameter 50, outside diameter 60. So this one is thin donuts. Okay, as you can see. So those are how can we do a donut. Okay, in donut we could declare the inside diameter, which is this one, and the outside diameter for this one. Okay, so next one we have here the arc. So arc is used to create an arc from one point to another. So for example, arc. So specify first point. Let's use the point of this one. So let's activate OSNAP and click center. Okay, activate the center in OSNAP. So let's try to create an arc from this center of donut to the another center of donut. So once we click it, automatically there will be a curve. Okay, so as you can see, there is a curve, and once we want to control the curveness, so let's drag it. Okay, so automatically this is the curve done. So another one, arc. Okay, A for arc. So it's a normal curve or arc, center, then center of this. So we have here the arc. Okay, again, arc. So if we want an arc from this point to this point, just click it and hit enter. Okay. Right. So that's how we could create an arc. A shortcut, or we could type the whole spelling of arc. Okay. So for the last one, in drawing commands, we could apply the term region and explode. So region is used in order to create a specific object using different lines. So we know that we could create an object using line, but they are not intact to each other. So to do that, we should apply reg or region. So let's erase first and type all. So for example, let's create a line. So let's create a pentagon. So from this line to this line to this line to this line to this line, and let's type C for close. So we have here this polygon, pentagon. So as you can see, we could select their lines one at a time. Now we have here the feature of reg, which is what we call region. So for region, we could sum up all of those lines in order to be one. So how to do that? So type reg for region, then select objects, select, 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 and click enter. Automatically, we have here one region created, so there will be no 5 lines, so this will be all. Okay, that will be the pentagon. So another one, let's create. So L for line. Let's create a line here. For example, so let's close it here. So as you can see, we could select each line, so they are not intact as one. So to form it one, to it to be intact, so let's type reg for reg or region. Click enter. Then select object. So let's select them one by one. Okay. Then click enter. Automatically, all of them are as one. So that is the function of region. Now, we have here the term explode. So explode, in order to, okay, separate all of the lines created. So if we want to return it back, so unlike typing undo, so it is the faster one. So we have here the term explode. So if we want to explode them per line, so let's type explode. So once we click explode, okay, so click enter. So select objects. For example, select this one, the larger object. Then click enter. Automatically, lines will be exploded. So we could select each line of this polygon. Okay? So one object is now returned to different lines. So let's try another one. Explode. Let's try the inside object. So this is intact. As you can see, if I selected this line, all are highlighted. So click that object, click enter. And once we exploded it, automatically we could select just 1 or 2 or 3 lines, 4 lines or 5 lines. Okay. So those are the examples of our drawing commands starting from construction line XL, Ray, Polyline PL, Multiline ML, Multiline Edit ML Edit, Multiline Style ML Style. We have here Polygon, which has a maximum of 1024 sides. So some drawing commands in Polygon are rectangle, rec, ellipse EL, spline SPL, donut DO, arc A, and we have here the function of region and explode. So I hope you'll learn a lot when it comes to the application of our drawing commands based from the video of Dr. Edwin R. Arboleda. So if you like my video, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel. So where we apply what we've learned from the academe. Thank you so much. Have a great day and stay safe.